Today, we're going to go through the basics of planning a drone shoot.
Stick around to the end to see the finished product. Just a little documentary about Silbury Hil.
I've got my batteries fully charged up. I've got my weak lemon drink. I've had something to eat. So we're all prepared. So the first thing I do is check UAV forecast, just to make sure that the weather is going to be suitable where I'm going to go. There should be an example on the screen here. Then the next thing I do, again on my phone, is just check drone assist to make sure that I can actually fly in that area. As we can see from this, there is a yellow circle around Silbury Hil. Now, if you go into the app and click on that circle, you'll see why it's got a yellow circle around it. And the bit here that is most concerning is that it's the site of a triple SI. So in Drone Assist, if you go in and click further into that and look at the details, you'll be able to see exactly what the triple SI is. Now, triple SI is Site of Specific Scientific Interest. And normally it would be something to do with the wildlife, there may be rare species there, or it might be something to do with the flora, so the plants, and sometimes it's even a geological issue. Now, having looked through the notes for the triple SI for Silbury Hil, there isn't anything there that is of concern to us. A lot of it is about the fact that it's had subsidence, no one's allowed to dig into it, that sort of thing. So we're all good for flying our drone. Check a map of the area using satellite view and just plan where you're going to park and where you're going to take off and land from. Now, you might want to plan several different places. One fairly far away from your subject to grab some establishing shots, possibly one in between that far away point and the subject itself, and then obviously as close to the subject as you can be so that you can get some really good close-up shots and not go out of visual line of sight, which isn't allowed in most countries. It's always best to cross-check with another application or another forecast, and also just be prepared. So I've brought the Mini 4 Pro along, but just in case it's a little bit too breezy for the Mini 4 Pro, I've also brought my Air 3, because the Air 3 is a monster in the wind. Hopefully we're going to get some really lovely shadows in these shots. Nice long shadows with the sun fairly low in the sky. Some days you just see a lot of people with broken arms. So Silbury Hil is just at the end of this road. It's fantastic views across there. Beautiful light.
By the way, if you are enjoying this and find it useful, please hit like and also consider subscribing and switching notifications on. That just tells YouTube that it can be shown to other people that have the same interest. Thanks very much.
Right. Well, we have found the ideal place to stop to get our establishing shot done. Obviously, if you're stopping by the side of a road, make sure it's safe to get out the car. I hope I'm not tempting fate with that. Right, we've got the sign for Avebury here, so it's always a great idea to grab an establishing shot of the geography of the area.
So we've flown up from the lay-by and we're just going to check our settings. This is using the Air 3 because it was still a little bit windy. I normally use a white balance of 5600K and switch off auto, just because if you do change your aspect to the sun, you can get some undesirable changes in the white balance. Check all of our other settings. We're on 4K 30. We're using D-Log-M color profile, but you do you. Some people prefer HLG, some people just prefer the normal color profile. I'm using a shutter speed of 1/60, so that's just to grab motion blur should we go slightly lower. Then checking my exposure, I just want to bring that down slightly, just down to -0.7, which compensates for the fact that I've got a shutter speed of 1/60. I've got a nice ISO there, so we'll have a fairly noiseless picture. And then I'll just spin round just to check using the overexposure zebras, just to see what that's like. Now, I'm going to be flying away from the sun, so the fact that we've got loads of zebras here doesn't really matter. And then we start a cruise control flight towards our point of interest. One bit of really good advice that I learned fairly early on is to take these shots and fly for much further than you would expect to, till it gets a little bit awkward. A bit like when your partner's best friend hugs you for just slightly too long. Because what you can then do is take that footage and decide where you want to cut it and get the absolute best shot. You'll notice that I switched to the 3x telephoto lens on the Air 3 there. That means that I can grab my midpoint footage rather than having to go and park up somewhere else. The drone was in visual line of sight the whole time. It's quite a chunky monkey, so it's quite easy to see, especially against a bright blue sky. Oh, and another great tip is that when you're using return to home, make sure that you're recording during that time. Because actually some of the best footage I've got is when it's just automated and returning to home. Says a lot for my talents. Not quite sure why you're listening to me, really. Time to move on to the car park right by Silbury Hil.
Right, the car park's closed. The car park's closed because of the solstice. Right, I have to have a slightly different plan. There's lay-bys here there's a space there. Just need to find somewhere to turn around. So obviously probably best to check some sort of local traffic reports or something as well. Right, we're going to have to do some walking. No, we can't go up that, by the way.
Back in the air again with the Air 3, we're going to fly around Silbury Hil. One of the most useful functions of DJI drones, especially if you're in a hurry, is the Mastershots function. This helps us get a variety of different shots in an automated way, and is brilliant for just sticking them together in the edit. When you set up a Mastershot, always double check it doesn't reset your settings. As you can see here, it reset my exposure settings. Now you wouldn't use the whole of the Mastershot reel, you'd take certain parts of it. So that's what we're doing here. So we'll fast forward through this because you're going to see all this in the final show reel. There are another couple of words from that guy who's controlling the drone, mainly because he's an absolute bat and forgot to press record on his Pocket 3.
The final bit, I'm going to get it over the hill and do a descending sun shot. Let's get into sport so she can get over there fast. We are losing light quite quickly. Okay, so this is going to be a tricky one because I'm going to have to manually control the gimbal. And we'll press return to home as well. So look at that battery life on there though. Still got 30 minutes left. Could have been out here for ages. Well, another half an hour. I'm not going to do tons, so stick around and we'll just have like a 30-second showcase of what I've done here.
In a secret location in Wiltshire, just off the A4 between Marlborough and Avebury, there resides the largest man-made mound in Europe. You can walk up to it, but you can't climb it. Not because since COVID you've become some sort of human Big Mac, but because so many people have been digging in it in the past that it could collapse at any moment, which is a bit like me. Nobody knows who made it, but some say that Egyptians won a bet with some ancient Anglo-Saxons or something. Its name is Silbury Hil, and some say that in the ancient Anglo-Saxon tongue, Silbury translates as pointless. Some people still walk on it though, and let's face it, we could all get cross and self-righteous about it, but if you could, you would, wouldn't you? Despite the fact that you could fall down a big hole. So as the sun sets, we bid farewell to this rather unassuming pointless hill, and we hope that the people on top of it stay safe. I guess.
There we go. So we had the establishing shots, the main video itself, a bit of B-roll and a bit of voiceover. Bye.